Welcome to Loan Officer Success Live, sponsored by Premier Lending, the show where the mortgage industry's top players pull back the curtain. Your host, Devin Dubuque, sits down with industry leaders, top producers, and game-changing mortgage tech innovators, all sharing their unfiltered strategies, bold ideas, and proven secrets for success. Get ready to take notes, think bigger, and play to win, because this is Loan Officer Success Live. All right, guys, welcome back. Today we've got somebody really special on the show. We've got a published author, fellow podcaster, Garrett Maroon, author of the Balance Breakthrough and the Faithful Agent podcast. So welcome to the show, my man. Really excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I don't know if I'm very special, but my kids think so. So I appreciate you being the sixth one. That's encouraging to me.
That's all that really matters, right? If our kids like us, we're doing something okay.
I mean, I would definitely genuinely rather be famous at home than anywhere else. So
my man,
you 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's my number one star is my fan is my 4-year-old. You know, that's dad's awesome. On TV and that's all he knows, right?
That's right. That's fantastic. So not to jump in, but so my kids, like whether my book makes it to Barnes and Noble, there's all these hoops you got to jump through. But I'm like, look, right. Told my wife, I said, babe, I'm going to go leave it. And then we're going to walk in there and be like, oh my gosh, kids, daddy is in Barnes and Noble. They need to see that.
He's
right?
made it. He's made it. Yeah, so it's all-star, man. I love it. Love it. Good stuff, man. Well, so, some of the things we wanted to talk about, because you've got the podcast and it's the Faithful Agent. What does that mean to you personally?
Yeah. So great question. So man, super quick backstory. So I had the podcast, it was called Serving, Not Selling, and it was going really well. I was teaching agents how to build by referral, which is what I built by. And then in October, so I launched that in 2020. In October 2022, I lost my mom. And after that experience, yeah, thank you. After that experience, really for the next few months, I mean, I was pretty beat up by it, honestly, but
I've been there.
Over the next few months, it was just, I spent time praying and asking the Lord, like, who do you want me to serve? And for me, it felt very clear that to serve Christians in the real estate space. And so we launched a nonprofit called the Faithful Agent, switched the podcast over. So geared toward those Christians in our space and really trying to serve them well.
Amen to that. Amen. I remember, I had a similar experience. It was actually shortly after I was 23. And I remember sitting by my mother, as she was passing, and I said, man, I'm just going to do it bigger and better. And I'm going to do this for you. And I'm going to support more people. And, that's sometimes it's a tough thing to go through, but maybe we're able to touch more lives and help more people as a result of it. So I love that you turned a negative into a positive and you're out there ministering to people, that need help, right? People out there that need help.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was so much of, partially I just went looking for it, right? Because in that, I love so many podcasts, so many books, all the things, right? But in that season of grief, I was like, okay, I need someone who will talk to my work, but also my heart at the same time. Yeah. And honestly, I went looking for it and I didn't find it. And so I was asking around and, ended up asking a friend of mine who runs the Christian Real Estate Network. It's a referral network. And I said, man, I just need a Christian agent conference. Like, bro, where is that? I need to be encouraged. He's like, that doesn't exist. And he said, just go start it. And because I don't think things through, Devin, I never stopped and said, do I know how to run a conference? I just went the next day and booked a hotel for like $15.
Ready, shoot, aim.
Yeah, right. I was like, oh, I guess we're doing this now. And the Lord was really gracious in that. So it's been a cool journey for sure.
That's amazing. Well, what was that like? What was that like doing that? And what was the turnout? How did it go?
Yeah. So this was March of 2023. So I booked it in January 2023. A quick backstory again. So my best buddy is a former pro baseball player, played for the Orioles for 10 years, Baltimore Orioles. He's Tyler Wilson's his name. And he's not in like residential real estate or lending, but he's in land acquisition for a builder. Anyways, my best buddy. So I call him up and I said, bro, I want you, number one, to be the co-host on this podcast with me. And he's not anymore, but I want you to be the co-host on this podcast. And I'm thinking we should start this thing, the Faithful Agent. And he's very different from me, right? I'm like high I, high D personality. Like, let's just go and see what happens. And he's like, let's think this through, whatever. So he says, all right, let's spend some time talking about it this week. And then I called him the next day and said, sorry, dude, I booked a hotel. I committed us to 15 grand.
It's happening right now. Yeah, we're in.
And so I'm so thankful for him. I mean, here's the crazy thing that happened. We probably had 50 people there, which is way bigger than I thought it was going to be.
That's a big turnout for number one, for the first one. Yeah.
experience, so the night before, Devin, because we had no idea what we're doing. The night before, Tyler and I are at this hotel, and this audio tech guy shows up. And he's trying to run the audio. It was like a Holiday Inn. This is not a luxury event, right? It's like a Holiday Inn. He's running the audio for us. And this is the night before the first day, and it starts in the morning. And he the audio sounds terrible. It's crackling. You can't hear anything, whatever. And he literally goes, "Guys, I can't figure this out. Sorry." And he just left. And
he's like, "Guys, I think you're on your own this time. I don't," and then you get some feedback, and I gotta go. Right?
That is legitimately what it sounded like, but it wasn't even that good, right? And then Tyler and I we still joke about it to this day. We still paid him, and we're like, "Why did we pay them? We paid him for rent. That doesn't make sense."
He bailed on us,
right? What was the point of that? But I think the best part was, I've raised a lot of flags in my life for businesses or ideas or whatever, and honestly, nobody ever cared until that event where it was something unique about someone who, and I mentioned earlier, someone who got my work, but also my heart, and that's hard to find. And so whether that's, anybody listening, if you're a Christian, great, go find that or come here, whatever. But maybe you're, into whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. But when you're surrounded by people who I get you individually, and I know what you do because that's what I do, there's something really special about that. And so really just kind of launched this community and showed us that, man, this is what we wanted, and it's clear that other people want it too. And so, man, just it was an encouragement to say, just keep going. And so it's been a blessing. Yeah, it's been 3 years at this point.
That's amazing. And I know your mission is helping Christian realtors build businesses that honor God, right?
That's right.
So how do you balance faith and business, feeling, without feeling like you have to compartmentalize them, right? How do you do that? How does that look?
Well, so I think, I don't know, right? First and foremost, that's a hard question, right? There's no easy answer.
It is a hard question. It is a hard question.
What I start with is I actually said this on a podcast, actually, Devin, it kind of popped into me a couple months ago. I'm on a show, pre-show. They're saying, "Hey, we know you're a faithful agent guy, you're a Christian, but this is not that kind of show. Please just don't talk about being a Christian if that's okay." And I said, and it just popped in my head, and I said, first of all, it's your show, so I respect you guys, but it's not a backpack I take on and off. This is my identity. I'm not sometimes a Christian, sometimes a husband, sometimes a dad. This is who I am. And so, and I remember telling them, if you guys don't want me to talk about it, it's okay. We don't need to do this episode. I'm not offended. And no, let's go do it. And then we ended up talking about it anyways, right? And it was really encouraging conversation. So I think you start with it's authenticity, right? There is no actual way. If you actually believe something, or if you're like, this is who I am and X, Y, and Z about me, whatever it is, there's no way for me to be anything but that. That is my identity. So how do you build both? You don't. You can't compartmentalize, right? I just am a Christian. I am a husband. I am a father, right? I am a real estate agent, all of those things. And so this is just how I'm showing up. So I think more than anything, it's the freedom to say what people really want is just to know you, the real you, not the ideal you. And so just show up and be who you are. Some people won't like it. That's fine. Right. But it's easier for me to show up that way. And also the people around me will appreciate how authentic that is.
I love that you said that. I absolutely love this because, I coach people and I talk to other loan originators and real estate agents. And, this is one of the things that we talk about all the time is be you, right? Mm-hmm. I was literally just having a conversation last night with a fellow realtor. And, she said, I've got to get more present on social, but she's like, I've got this perfectionist mentality. And I said, no, you just got to do it because people want to know who you are. So you don't need to be a perfectionist. If this is who you are, show up as you are because people are going to appreciate that, and they're going to believe more in you because when you show up and you're exactly who they expect, that's what they want. People want that authenticity. So I love that you don't set the two apart because you're going to attract your people. And that's what it's all about. And they're going to know who you are and that they can trust you because the guy they see on the screen is the same guy that's shaking their hand in person. So
good. And the reality, I think, Devin, is we want to work with the people who are like us. Yeah. And so, my lead agent and I were joking about this the other day because, I wear t-shirts and sweatpants a lot.
Same.
Don't want to admit it, but I'm wearing sweatpants right now. And occasionally, so the other day, you'll appreciate this. The other day, so my lead agent takes most of our business. Occasionally I'll take a deal if I want to. This house is in our neighborhood. And I was wearing a polo and jeans and flip-flop. And my wife said, "You have a listing appointment?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is how, I used to wear a suit and tie. This is how I dress up now." And my lead agent and I were joking about it, how in our own homes, right, if someone showed up to help me with mold problems, unfortunately you're having, right, or contract, or whatever it is, and they showed up in a suit and tie, I'd be like, I don't want to work with this person. They're a salesperson. That's not who I am. But if they showed up in a t-shirt and jeans, I'd be like, "What's up, dude? You're my guy." Right. And so there's a guy and a girl for everybody. And so the challenge is, we're being told in our industry, right, mortgage and real estate, this is what it looks like. This is what success looks like in terms of your activity. This is what success looks like in terms of what you wear. None of that's true. It might look like that to XYZ consumer, but this ABC consumer is like, that's not at all what I'm looking for. And so I just think that the exhaustion and the burnout in our industry comes from a lot of things. But one of the ways it shows up is when you've been spending months and months and months trying to be someone you aren't, because another someone told you that's what it looks like. Of course you're burnout. How do you show up well for your family at the end of the day if you spent all day trying to be opposite of who you actually are? There's nothing left. You have no energy left. I would rather you show up and be you, because there's no one can beat you at being you. So just be that and be really good at it, and then show up like that. And then at the end of the day, it's still going to be hard. Business is hard, but at least you haven't burnt yourself out just trying to act counter to your nature. And now maybe your family gets a little bit better from you, right? That's what matters. And I think that's the calling to say,
that's what you're showing your kids. That's what you're showing your kids. You're showing that you are the person that you are, and that's what people really want. And that's such a special thing, especially when you're raising young children, because, when they go to school, sometimes they start to believe they have to be something they're not. And when they see dad at home repping it and showing them that this is who I am and look at what I'm doing and how I'm helping people and helping others, they start to believe that they can be themselves and they don't have to hide behind a mask, right?
Yeah, super good. Yeah. And that's, again, that's I have 5 little kids, right? The oldest is 8, the youngest is 6 months. And so this is the season, right? Exactly. They're more is caught than taught is what they say, right? So what do they see daddy doing? And am I, even for me, I've had to learn to stop apologizing. Sorry, daddy's got to go to work. Now daddy's going to work to help people. And that's how I provide for our family, right? This is what daddy does. Daddy does X, Y, and Z. And I'm out there to support people. And the more people I help, the better it is for our family too, right? But I don't have to show up and be anyone but me. And it's such, we're in this culture space. It's not just in our industry, right? And in everywhere. That's right. To your point of the social media agent you were talking to is, I want to see the real you. I don't want to see this ideal version of you. That's exhausting, right? It's exhausting for you. It's exhausting for me. I don't know anyone good enough to just pretend, over and over and over again, that at some point it's like, wait a minute, I thought this was the suave, whatever. And now look at them, that doesn't make sense to me. Just like, I want to see the person that's just them.
That's it.
If it's okay. The entire world's not going to like you. The entire world's not going to like me or Devin. It's not possible.
That's right.
And so I would rather like me than worry about everyone else liking me. Right. And if I like me enough, other people will too. And then I'll have a business and it'll be okay. And so, I had a lender friend call me the other day, actually, Devin, and our preferred lender. And she just said, "Garrett, I have this idea. I'm thinking about doing, I won't give the idea, but basically doing this to support the agents and teams I already have." Right. And I said, I love it, right? Conceptually, her name's Kim. I said, conceptually, Kim, I love it. But let me ask you a question. Why do you think we work with you? Well, we have this and this and this. I said, I don't have a clue what programs you offer, right? I don't know all that stuff. We work with you because we just love you, because you're authentic, you're real. That's what we want, because that's who we try to be. And so why aren't you just using that same personality, which is you, and just go find other agents who want the same thing? Like, that's going to be a better way for you to have a business anyways.
Literally just had this conversation the other day, because as you already know, a lot of what I do is train loan originators and train them how to communicate, right? Because I think that's so important. And one of the key things that we talk about is, don't go in blasting all the different products that we offer, because quite frankly, most people don't care, and they probably have somebody that does it, and they may even do it better than you do, right? What you want to do is get to know them and show them who you are and what you're going to do to serve them, right? How can I improve your business by becoming an extension arm of what you do? And let me tell you what I'm known for and why people love to do business with you. And if they love that, they're going to be attracted to you. And if they don't, that's okay. It's not the person that you're supposed to be working with. So, but you touched on something, and I want to bring into this, because one of the things that we talked about, in the green room, so to speak, is, your podcast and your book. And one of the things that you mentioned was no burnout, no hustle culture. And in a world that glorifies both, how do you stay rooted in your mission?
Man, these are good questions, Devin. Especially coming from just the crisp voice. You've got a great podcast voice.
Well,
man.
same there. Yeah, same on both sides.
Do that too. Yeah. So, man, I mean, it is. First of all, I don't always, right? So I always want to acknowledge I am not perfect. I know I wrote a book about it. Yeah. I'm not perfect at this at all. but I would say is there are intentional guardrails for me. Right. So, for example, every single day at 4:30, we go on a family walk. They know if daddy's not there. And so daddy needs to be done at 4:30. And so boom, daddy's there. We have a schedule in the morning. Right. And so every morning I get breakfast made for the kids and my wife. And that happens between 8 and 8:30. And so daddy can start work at 9, but it happens at 8 or 8:30. That means I can't just go out and do a bunch of other stuff. Right. And so, and I'm not going to work on the weekends. So that's shut down too. And so every other Friday, my wife and I take a day date 9 to 1. And so I've learned, it's been a long time. I mean, it's 11 and a half years. I'm still trying to figure this out, but it is the reality of truncating my time that forces me to say no to almost everything. And that's really hard. I was talking to someone the other day, another agent, and I was coaching her, and I just said, she was giving me all these ideas and things she wanted to do this year. And I said, I don't think the problem for you or me is having more ideas. I think the problem for me and you is, will we pick one and then say no to everything else that isn't that idea? That's what's hard. And success is going to look like saying no to most things. So that's I can say yes to the thing I mean to say yes to. And that means your family. That means whatever you're trying to build, that's what this is about. And so I think more than anything, Devin, I have amazing people around me who will call me out. That helps a lot. But I also have
we need it.
Myself. I'm looking at my scoreboard right here. I know what success looks like to me. It includes day dates with my wife. It includes time off with my family. If I make a ton of money, but don't do those things, I didn't win. And so having that clarity is very, very helpful. And then no hustle culture. I think the reason this is not broadly true, okay, but I think this is mostly true for everybody. The reason people hustle is because they aren't doing the right thing often enough. So you better outwork me if you can't outthink me, right? You better outwork me if you're doing a bunch of stuff that doesn't actually matter. But will you stop to pay attention and say, this is the thing that moves the needle in my business? Therefore, if I give that 15 hours a week, I don't have to give everything else 50 extra hours a week. And so it's this idea that, well, I'm just working, I'm grinding. Big part of that is like, well, it's because, and not a mean way, but it's maybe because you don't know what you're doing. And maybe you need to cut things out instead of add things in, because most of the stuff we do doesn't actually matter. And we want it to matter. And we have that pride in that,
I'm so good at this thing. Oh, that's like, I'm so great at it. Right.
I learned a super quick story again, Devin. I was doing this book club. And I was like, this matters, right? Doing this book club every week, was online. I thought it was great, whatever. And then someone challenged me and they said, Garrett, do you think it's really that important to everyone? And I'm like, of course it is, right? I'm doing a book club. What do you mean they're showing up whenever it's this book club? And he said, if you don't show up and you cancel it next week and you don't say anything, do you think anybody's going to ask you a question and be like, hey, what happened to this? And I said, well, what do you mean? Of course they're going to be upset about it. And he said, he was not being mean, right? He was being really helpful. He's like, I bet they won't care as much as you think they care. I'm like, that's totally not true. So then I cancel it, and then no one said anything. And then I cancel it the next week, and then no one said anything. And I've never done it. This is like 8 months ago, and no one's ever said anything.
There's probably one guy in the corner like, what happened to the book club, man?
There's probably one. But otherwise, like, the point is, we elevate these things in our mind. Like, I've got to show up and do it. What do you mean? Sorry, babe, I'm going to miss dinner again because I've got to do this book club, whatever the scenario. But maybe if you don't show up, maybe not everybody cares as much as you think, and you can get back some of that time. And so that was a huge lesson.
Buy back your time.
To be careful to jump just because I think it's an exciting idea, and really say, what am I actually trying to accomplish here? Does it get me there? Yes or no? If the answer is no, then don't do it.
Well, what I'm hearing is you have to set your non-negotiables. But make sure the non-negotiables you're very intentional about what they're going to accomplish, right? Yeah. And the non-negotiables have to involve your family. because ultimately, what is all this about, right? Like everything that we're doing, right? Of course, it's helping people, but if we can't help the people we love the most,
yeah, so true.
Then why are we even doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're not present at home, how can we really be present for others?
Yeah, so true, brother. There's one of the saddest moments in my real estate career. It wasn't, I won't say his name, but 2 years ago at, the end of the year award ceremony, realtor prom, I call it, at realtor prom, the number one agent in our office, it was broadly known, or not in our office, I'm sorry, in our market, it was broadly known that this gentleman had lost his marriage and wasn't talking to his oldest son. And his office had actually lost money. But here he was winning the award for being the number one sales agent, taking selfies with people, celebrating all the things. And what happens? He goes home to an empty home. And so, it's like, I don't know the scenario, and I'm not going to pretend to know the scenario. But if I ask anybody, were you successful? If you were the number one agent in your market, would you consider yourself a success? Oh, of course I would. Well, if you were number one agent, but you went home to an empty house because your spouse left and you weren't talking to your oldest son, would you consider that? Oh, absolutely not. What are you talking about? Right. And so we've fallen prey to this narrow definition of, someone asked me recently, what would you tell someone if they asked you, how do you sell 30 homes this year? Right. I need to figure out how to sell 30 homes. How do I do it? And I said, I would honestly say that's the easiest question in the world to answer. Go work 100 hours, spend 100 grand. I don't know. You'll figure your way out. I think what you mean is, how do I sell 30 homes while not missing family dinner and being at every soccer game on Saturdays, whatever the scenario is? You got to ask better questions. We've fallen prey to asking one question. How do I sell 100 homes? How do I, write 300 mortgages, originate 300 mortgages? How do I make 100K, 500K, whatever it is? And we stop there when the question should be, how do I do that? And to your point, still be present and take my, 4-year-old out on a daddy-daughter date on Saturday, whatever it is, like, put in your life. And when you ask the better question, you'll figure out the better answer. But we've allowed ourselves, because all we really celebrate in our industries is who made the most money, who did the most deals, who X, Y, and Z. And so because of that, we individually have started to believe that that's the only measure of success too, and it isn't. And so we have to be really careful in our industries to say there's more going on here. And the person who was 10th, but was home because that's what they chose to be, every single night or 80% of the nights, that's winning. The person who is number one doesn't mean they can't be home too. Maybe they are, but maybe they ignored everybody and their family doesn't even know what they sound like anymore. Each person, I guess, but I don't want to be friends with that kind of person, to be honest. Like, I want you to have a bigger, broader definition. I
love that you say that, because I have my core values, and my number one core value is family. Right. And, when I preached that, and I say preach because I feel like I preach sometimes, right, to my team and the people that I support, what I talk about family is 3 different layers. And I start with our consumers, not because I do put our consumers on a high level, but I start there and I end with my family last for a very particular reason. And I always say, first off, the families that we serve, and helping those families, find, generational wealth through real estate, right? Like, that's one of our number one missions in, mortgage. That's what we do. So that's the first part of family first. But second is our work families, and, being there to support the people that are there inside of our business, to allow them time to be there for their families. And then I layered that into our families, because we have to be there to help our families become the best versions of them by becoming the best versions of ourselves. Right. And I think when you layer that into the core values of your business, and you put that out there to the people that you serve or the people that you work with, it helps them start to understand exactly what you're saying. Hey, yes, we're in the hustle culture, and yes, we want to be there and we want to hustle and we want to do the right things, but at the same time, at what cause, right? At what risk, and what does success really look like? So I couldn't agree with you more on everything that you're saying here. And that actually leads me to my next question, which, because you have this book that we've got to talk about, and we're right here, we're getting closer to wrap up time. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So your book, The Balanced Breakthrough, and it's about helping agents win at work and at home, which is exactly what we're talking about. What exactly inspired you to write? And I think I know a lot of this right now, but what inspired you to write it? And who do you feel like needs this the most?
Yeah. Well, I need it, and I need it over and over and over again, right? Even though I wrote it. And so I honestly think we all need it. Any entrepreneur needs this to just have a reset. I was encouraged. My dad, who is 72 and now he runs the company, but he's reading it for the second time, just and being an encouragement, saying like this, and he's on real estate, but this helps me reset and remind myself what matters. Mom's
Amen.
not here anymore, right? So like, what matters? So it was here's a quick story of what happened. So in 2021, I had a bigger team, had more agents, more admin. We were doing I'm going to build a big team and do all those things. Well, there's just this moment for me where I had built out this plan, Devin. It was like in June of 21, built out this plan that I was going to double my profit the next year, but I couldn't figure out how to do it without working up to 60 hours a week was what I thought it was going to take me. I was working about 40 at that point.
Right.
And I remember pausing in that moment and saying, okay, 5 years from now, if I could look back on this specific moment, who'd I be most proud of? The guy who worked 60 hours a week just to make a double amount of income, which we didn't really need all of that money at that point. The guy who did that to get better rankings, more money, more stuff, or the guy who said, hey, I bet I could figure out a way to work even less than 40 hours, still make the same money I am now and show up better for my family. And when I asked that question, that was so easy of an answer. Well, that's what I want to do. And so I'm walking back up to my office where I am now. And I was wondering, why in the world then had I hired 3 agents? Why did I have 3 full-time admin? Like, none of this made sense because I didn't want it. It was what I wanted was the freedom of time and space to be with my family. While I'm looking at my whiteboard, which is right there, and there was only 3 things written. It was number of transactions, volume, and profit, right? I was only using the scoreboard of success that the industry told me mattered. Because what happens when you meet, how many deals did you do, right? And so I had fallen prey to that, even though I would have said, I'm the family guy, family first all the time. I had fallen prey to say, this is the only way I can determine what success is. So it was literally that day I said, all right, I'm not going to listen and let their scoreboard dictate my life. I'm going to make my own scoreboard. And so now there's a profit goal. Of course I'm a business owner, but there's a wife goal and there's a family goal. And so now I have a new way to make decisions, right? Could that help me hit my profit goal? Yes. Okay. Could you still go on a date? Yes. Is it going to fall on one of the 7th weeks off that you take with your family? Yes. Then the answer is no, I can't do it anymore. Right. Because it doesn't score. And so for me, it was really that pivotal moment of like, if I change the way I keep score, I change the way I play, right? If the NBA said no more 3-pointers, no one's going to shoot a 3-pointer. And so that kicked off for me. All right, I've got to reset how this works. And if I'm going to reset how this works, if I'm going to achieve at a high level in a short amount of time so I can be present where I want to be present, what are the formulas I need? How do I do this? And then the more I talked about it, and last point, the more I talked about it, the more I realized so many agents and lenders needed that, right? Because they had fallen prey to this mentality, and it was someone else gave it, and we just kind of went along with it. And we need to buck the system and say, that's not how success is defined in my life. And so I felt like I just needed to share that with people. And I mean, I like at the end of the day, Devin, I think you would align with this. At the end of the day, when I wrote it, I was thinking about the agent's family, right? Yeah. Where are those kids missing mommy or daddy too much because we've just made too many bad trade-offs because no one told us there was another way? My heart ultimately, I don't care. I mean, I hope a ton of people read it. But if I meet a kid one day and they just say, Mr. Garrett, thank you so much for helping bring mommy home. I mean, dude, that is worth all the time and energy spent to get that one kid to see their mom or dad more. Totally worth it. And you don't have to sacrifice success just to be home. That's not true. Don't believe that lie. You can do both. And so, man, that's my hope is we kind of take back this industry, if you will, to say succeed at a high level, not by sacrificing what matters most, by doing it in a better way, and then still showing up for the people that you care about.
Amen. Well, I got to get out of here. So I got family to be around.
That's right. That's right, man. What are we doing?
Convinced me. So I'm just going to leave the show running and, guys, sorry, we'll catch you on the next one. Yeah. But no, honestly, and I do have a date with my family this afternoon. So
buddy.
I'm right there on the same page with you. And it's funny because it's almost like you read my mind. So the next question I was going to ask is what's in this, it is still relevant. What's one chapter or principle in the book that's going to challenge people in a good way? I think that's probably it, but where are they going to find that, right? Like, where's that in the book? Where do we, what chapter are they going to challenge their mind about what is more important and how do I balance that out by saying, I'm going to put these people first and only achieve my goals if it achieves all of them. Cause that is huge, man. I love that you said that. Where's that at in the book?
Yeah. So chapter 1 It just starts with
We're just going to start right out. Yes. Slap me across the face.
We're podcasters, right? We got to get that hook early. You know that, David. You got to have something to make them want to read it.
Dial them in. Yeah, get them in.
That's right.
Yep.
So it is super quick. It just started. It was an experience where my grandmother passed the year after my mom. I'm standing there at the graveside, and I'm looking at her headstone next to my grandfather, and next to him was his father. So my great grandfather, I didn't know who he was. I had heard of him, right? But he had died like 30 years before him, but I had no idea about his life, nothing. And it's not this morbidity. It's this idea of that's going to be me one day too. And so who's going to be standing at my graveside in 100 years from now? No one's going to know who great granddaddy Garrett was, right? And so why am I trying to spend so much time as if it matters that I made all the money, I bought all the stuff, I did X, Y, and Z? Because who's going to come back every year? Who goes back every year to my mom's grave? It's me, my dad, my brother, and our families. It's not her old students that she taught. It's not the friends at church. It's not all those things. It doesn't mean they don't care, but it's who actually matters at the end of the day. Who's going to be there with you? And so are we trying to build a life to live out that dash well, right? The date you're born, the date you die, and the dash in between is your life. So are you trying to live that well? What does that look like for you? Or did someone tell you this is what it's supposed to be and you just pursue that? So it was that moment, and I hope it hits us. I'm going to reread it many times, right? To hit me in the face to say, bro, what are you doing? Because it's easy to wander after success and forget that success includes your family. And I need a reminder of that every day.
We all do. We all do. We all do. And you took the time to write about it, put it out there in print, and again, you can go back and reflect on it again and again. And guys, I normally do this. I'm going to drop it up there. So, hey, if you want to check out Garrett and his book, go to GarrettMaroon.com. Pretty simple. I don't think that's a hard one to forget, right? Go to GarrettMaroon.com. You can check him out there, but you also want to go check him out over on Facebook at The Faithful Agent. And I can see we got some of your people over there right now that are tuning in. Awesome. And if you don't know about his YouTube channel, and I think that you should, if you love what he's talking about, and you do decide, hey, I'm going to go out and get the book, but I want more. I need more of Garrett. I need more of what he has to say. Well, maybe the kids. Go over to YouTube, and it's at The Faithful Agent. So he's making it very easy for you to get in touch with. So Garrett Maroon on the web, so GarrettMaroon.com, or Faithful Agent on YouTube and Facebook. And dial in, go out there and, lock in and learn more from this guy, because he's got a lot to share. What's one closing statement? If we're talking to somebody out there that's been trapped in the hustle culture and they are maybe losing some touch with their family, what's one final message that you'd like to speak right to them and tell them to think about, or how to maybe get away from that?
Yeah. The end date is not done on your headstone. And what I mean is your dash is still in play. That's your life. You still have time to change the things that have happened that you're causing, that other people are causing. You still have time. You're not trapped by your current state of being in whatever position you're in. You still have time to change it because you're still here. Whatever time you have left, make it count and make it purposeful.
I love that, man. I love that. You can change who you want to be at any time, guys and gals. You can literally do it. I've done it. I can speak to it. I can tell you exactly what that looked like. That's a different time for a different show. But at the end of the day, you get the ability to change your narrative. And if you're stuck in a place that you don't love, we're here for a limited amount of time. Take a page or many pages from Garrett's book and go out there and change your lifestyle and live different, because you can do it. I promise you can do it. I promise everything that Garrett's talking about, it's available to you too, right? Yep. So brother, phenomenal time. Love getting a chance to get to know you. Loved hearing a little bit more about the book, and really just loved getting to get inside of your headspace and learn about how you're ministering your family and showing up for your family to show others how they can do it themselves. So thank you so much for your podcast, for taking the time to write the book. Thanks for coming on the show. Maybe have to have a part 2, but let's do it. I think that's going to be it today, man. So guys and gals, until the next time, we will see you then. And thanks for stopping by. Always appreciate you guys coming in and saying.
You've been watching Loan Officer Success Live, where real strategies meet real success. Don't forget to subscribe now and share it with your teammates, and keep leveling up, because your next breakthrough starts here. If this fired you up, don't just watch success, go out there and build